I'm just a carbs girl any day, man. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like we're just it's just very protein. And yeah, it's just not my vibe.
All right. So,
Yeah.
so thanks for having me in your kitchen.
Pleasure.
From the top, who are you? What have you been up to lately?
I'm a cookbook author, chef and business owner. So I have been a recipe writer for many years and started off at BBC Good Food and then went freelance, and I have done lots of ghostwriting and now write my own books. And then I also run a catering company called Scramble London with my husband Adam, where we cater weddings, hen parties, all kinds of events. And we're about to open a rotisserie chicken shop in Spitalfields Market.
Which has an incredible name.
Which has a great name. It's called Twirly Bird.
Yeah. I remember as a kid hearing Whirly Bird as a name for a helicopter and just thinking that was
really good.
Amazing. So Twirly Bird just really ticked the box for me.
That was Adam. Got to give him a shout.
It feels like, you know, whether it's ads, whether it's your dad in your cookbook, in some days he's got a recipe in there. Can you speak to family and food?
100%. I think my dad is incapable of cooking for less than 6 people. So even the other night, he had one of my brothers, I have 3 brothers round, and he sent a picture to the family WhatsApp, and he'd made, Morgan's vegetarian, he'd made him a trio of vegetable pastas for 2 of them to eat for dinner. Yeah. Which is just like so unbelievably excessive, but also just my dad, because we would always have 6, 8, 12 people. Sometimes on Boxing Day, I remember we just had like a couple of people who didn't have anywhere to go, so they'd come to ours. So I think like cooking and a lot of people in the kitchen and general chaos is kind of what I see food and life to be like.
How old, young do you think you were when you recognised that it was more than something that you just had to eat?
I started loving to experiment when I was about 14, much to, well, actually my dad was very supportive, but I learned that I could put sugar in tomato sauce, and I basically effectively made like a sweet spaghetti bolognese, which was completely foul, and he was sat there like, delicious. And I put it in my mouth and I was like, oh, what have I done? Yeah. But yeah, they supported from that age, but I think second year of uni, I realised that I wanted to be in food, but also loved my degree. So was kind of finish the degree, then get into food.
Because you and I studied pretty much the same thing, or was it exactly the same, both English lit?
English lit and history for me.
Was it a tension for you to go from, the kind of what it should be a passion subject, I guess, as your bachelor's, to then go into a project that maybe didn't tie into the degree? What did that feel like?
I think, well, I'm happy that I do the recipe writing now, because it feels more like that I'm using a bit of the English literature side of things. But to be honest, it was just so fun to learn and just be a bit nerdy, and you're never going to do a seminar on cold war fiction at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday ever again.
It's those 9 a.m. lectures and seminars that got me into these energy drinks, sadly. Exactly. Yeah, they were tough to get up for. But what a treat, what a privilege.
Exactly.
When it comes to ghostwriting as a concept, how does that work?
So ghostwriting is basically when there's either another named author, usually a famous person, or a kind of project where they've got an idea, but they don't necessarily need a name behind it. So it might be for a brand, let's say. And then they will get you to come in and you essentially take the concept and create all the recipes for that idea. And then once the project's over, you hand it back. So when I first started, it was very much like you signed NDAs, it was all very hush-hush. Whereas actually, I think the industry has changed quite a lot now. You're kind of acknowledged as a contributor at the back. You can use it in your portfolio. There's a lot more kind of conversation with you and the person who you're working for. But ultimately, I really enjoyed it because the concepts are so niche sometimes. Like we've written a book with peanut butter, 100 peanut butter recipes. And sometimes when your creativity is narrowed down so much, it's actually I find it better to be creative, because you have to work within these like narrow parameters basically. Yeah,
when you've got a brief, it's almost easier.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if someone's like, oh, just write 100 delicious recipes, like you could go anywhere, couldn't you? Whereas if it's like, they have to be ready in under half an hour, they're all vegetarian, and you need to get all the ingredients from Sainsbury's.
With your approach to work, recipe writing is still a major part of what you do. But you then also have Scramble London, as you've described, and you run that with ads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What does that look like as a day-to-day, as a project?
So originally, when we got married and we went away for a bit and tried to come up with the concept of the business together, because essentially me and Ad have been working together for many years, him as kind of like a side hustle on top of a full-time job to help me out, because I've been freelance for about 10 years. So we were kind of like, let's formally make this a thing. So he left his job, and we then decided, what is Scramble London going to be? And originally we were going to be more of a kind of recipe writing service with a few catering bits on the side. But we've now been doing it for about 2.5 years, and we've kind of transitioned into more of a caterer, because wedding catering is something that we started off and we've just kind of slowly grown through word of mouth, recommendations, and it's something that we both love. Cooking for people on their wedding day is just such a treat and a joy. And also it's quite a good market to be in, because wedding catering is still pretty shit. a lot of the time people get, you know, a dry piece of salmon and some green beans and a few potatoes.
Yeah.
And so when they come and they're having like amazing sharing style mains and like shawarma roast lamb and, you know, spatchcock chicken with tahini sauce and like these big salads, like people are genuinely absolutely hyped about it, because they're like, oh my God, the wedding food was delicious. And it's kind of a surprise. So I feel like we're kind of trying to be a bit more of a modern wedding caterer, essentially.
Do you still get the brief from the bride and groom, or will you present them with options? How would that work?
So it's kind of a bit of both. So people come to us for our style of food. So we're not going to really do like a 5-course taster meal for your wedding. But at the same time, every menu is made bespoke to the client. So they might say, oh, we got engaged in Greece and we absolutely love Greek flavours, or I absolutely hate coriander, so please can we not have that in any of the canapes, you know. And then we kind of work out a menu based on an initial call with them.
Nice. Tiramisu cake. I can't stop thinking about that. This is something that people are requesting rather than the tiered ice thing.
Yeah.
Could you quickly describe that for us?
Yeah, so last year we got an amazing commission from a couple called Amy and James who were getting married, and they said, we'd love to have a giant tiramisu in a paella pan rather than a wedding cake. Like, do you think you guys can do it? So me and Ab were like, yeah, it sounds pretty cool, let's try. So we did this kind of now like iconic, like metre wide paella pan filled with tiramisu. And then they had an incredible photographer who sent us a picture of it. And since then it's kind of just spiraled, and now people are asking for this kind of tiramisu paella pan moment, essentially. Which is so much fun. It's the only nerve-wracking part is before it's set, trying to get it into the fridge door, because you have to do like a kind of like a really quick flip and then put it in. So but no, it's great. It's really good fun, and it looks amazing. Tastes delicious.
And you were saying the other day how you were a guest and also responsible for the catering.
Yes.
Yeah, how did that go?
It was amazing because they were some of our closest friends, and watching them get married and the speeches and stuff was incredible. But I'd be lying if I'd say that it wasn't quite stressful being there whilst we were catering it. I think because we've done jobs where we send people on them and then you're just like, okay, well, we've given you the notes and you do you. Whereas I was really concerned about having a good boundary. I didn't want to be one of those bosses who was like meddling unnecessarily, because we'd employed an incredible team and they knew what they were doing. But obviously if you're there, like my natural place to be is in the kitchen. So when the main came out, I actually went and found a book of Sudoku and went and just hid for like 20 minutes whilst the buffet was being served. So I was like, I can't get involved. I just need them to like get it out. And then I came back down and everyone was eating and everyone was enjoying it. And I was like, okay, relax.
What is that like to go from being responsible because you're the person cooking it to being responsible because, like you say, you've got a great team, but to not micromanage, to not be in the space that you love to be in? Is it tough?
I feel like management is actually one of the things that I'm quite good at in terms of not micromanaging. But I think you would always have a way that you will do it. Food is kind of one of those things that if you can write a menu and someone will execute it slightly different because their vision will be different, and that vision is still perfectly delicious and fine. It just might not be identical to yours. So I just knew that I didn't want to get wrapped up in the idea of how it should be, because ultimately giving creative license to the people who work for you is also why they continue working for you. So if they want to serve something in a slightly different way, they need to have the space to do that. So I just kind of needed to not be there. Although because I'm so heavily pregnant, someone found me and then they asked if I was going into labour. I was like, no, don't worry, I'm just doing a Sudoku to get out of the way.
How do you keep food as a balanced aspect, and you make sure that it doesn't take over your life, both physically, mentally, spiritually, maybe. I don't know. Can you speak to that?
The longer I work in it, the more I feel like I'm able to separate the two. And actually, me and Ad will sometimes just have beans on toast with cheese for dinner, and that's completely fine. And something that I actually feel is like quite good for us as a balance, because when you're cooking all day and you're kind of, okay, what flavours work in this? I think sometimes it's nice to not be in the same headspace when you come home. Or just having, when I'm cooking for myself, I love just having the fridge stocked with like random vegetables, and then it's more of a kind of what have we got, and just cooking in a way which is a bit more intuitive rather than needing to look or be a certain way, I'd say. So I'd say that it's a two-part, because I never want to be one of those chefs who cooks amazing food for others and then comes home and then just doesn't nourish myself, because I always feel like you started off cooking because you loved eating and you loved cooking and like trialing things out. Do you know what I mean? But I would say that I'm definitely much more simplified at home.
Obviously, as you say, you're very, very pregnant at the moment. But physical fitness and the mental bits, I think from what I picked up yesterday, you've got a best mate that you go walking with a lot. That sounds like a big thing for you.
Oh yeah, it's kind of well, me and Ad, when we decided we're going to have kids together, because we work together as well, and our lives are kind of fully entwined, we have basically made a pact with each other that every year we have an annual holiday with our best mates, and that's kind of independent from each other. And he usually goes away to a city break, and they like read in pubs and just kind of, you know, chat, the world won't go by. And me and Pops always go on some like wild walk somewhere, which is like some kind of path that we're doing, which she plans meticulously, and then I get a packing list and get sent. It's almost like going on a school trip, but it's the best of both worlds, because she said I'm the only friend who she knows that she can plan her dream holiday and I'll love it. So she doesn't have to worry about the fact that, oh, is Soph's going to enjoy this? She's just like, this is what we're doing. And I love it because running my own business, I'm constantly organising and making sure that everyone is in their place and they've got everything they need. And so it's unbelievably relaxing to just get on a plane somewhere and be like, what are we walking again? And I also think when you've got a small time period away, for me, there's nothing which makes you feel more present and kind of away from your daily life than getting up, having put your tent away and starting walking. Like you switch off in a way which is just kind of completely different from like lying on a beach, well, in my opinion anyway. And then it's not all, you know, in the evenings we're always just like, you know, messing around, having nice dinners. It's, you know, it's definitely something for pleasure rather than like for time or for, you know, obviously it keeps us fit, but that's not really the primary goal. I think it's more, she's a primary school teacher, so she has an incredibly stressful job. And it's just a way where we can both switch off completely, I'd say.
A lot of your work seems quite project-based.
Yeah.
And that, like, you like working to a brief and to a deadline. And then you'll have these moments where you know, even the walk in a way is a project, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
It's an allotted period of time in which to relax and to unwind. And I'm not saying that it's organised fun necessarily, but it's a structured amount of time to do a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel with the different things that you've got going on, that's probably quite helpful from a headspace perspective, to know when things start and end, and also to have something to aim for. Would you say that's fair?
Oh God, I mean, it's like the most unsexy thing ever, but me and Ad have a shared Google Keep, which is literally a day by day of that week. And in it, it's like essential that he gets to do 3 CrossFit a week. I get to do a yoga, a swim and something else. And like they're planned in. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's just, you know, that on Tuesday at 9 a.m, you've got an hour to yourself to go for a swim. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it just means that you know that your week, even if you've got a huge project on and you've got a lot of things happening, that you've got a bit of your own space and your own time. And for me, it's kind of it's the game changer for us, basically.
Now, I'm not a parent. I've worked with a number of parents, whether single or in a relationship that has people able to contribute to both sides of it, to the childcare, to income. But time always seems to be something that runs out. Yeah. You know, and it will run out in a way that I can't understand. It's not for me to judge. But based on your experience of it, I'm not saying that you'd preach, I'm not saying that what you do is necessarily right, but it does feel balanced.
Yeah, I think the reality is that like me and Ad are in a very lucky position in a way because we co-parent, and so it means that I've always felt, especially with my own time, that it's as important as his time. And I just think with there being mindful of the fact that there's certain things that we need in order to be better parents. Like I know that if I go to a yoga class and then go get myself a coffee and maybe buy myself some flowers on the way home, I will come back through the door and I will be more present with Rudy, our son, and more up for doing stuff than if I've kind of just woken up and then feel like I've got to put a wash on and I'm starting the kind of the jobs of the day. It's just that bit of time where you can kind of just do something entirely for yourself. And I know it's exactly the same with Ad as well. And so it's one of those things where I just think you have to choose to take the time. And it's almost a bit like date nights. Like, my main parenting skill has been training up babysitters.
What does that look like?
Which looks like my younger brothers who've never held a baby in their lives now being like perfect babysitters. /perfect, I mean, whatever happens when you've got our child, that's whatever makes it a good experience for you both. You do that, but it means that it gives Ad and me the time to go and get a pizza. Do you know what I mean? Or go and see a friend or whatever it is. And also just trusting people that they're going to get it is just really key. Like I remember Joe, my brother's kind of, when Rudy was 3 months old, was like, yeah, I'll look after him for a bit whilst I was working in the house with him. And then an hour and a half later, he came and he was like, how do I move him from this position? And he'd been holding him for an hour and a half in the same position. And I was like, oh yeah, of course, like this. But now, you know, he picks him up from nursery, he feeds him his dinner, he gives him a bath, and he puts him to bed.
Amazing.
That's from someone who'd never held a baby in their life. So I don't know, I feel like it's just been a game changer for us because it means we have a separate life away from Rudy, which again, I just think makes me a better parent.
100%.
Yeah.
I really respect that level of trust, but I think maybe having been more in your brother's position, there's still some anxiety for me. I don't often have crying babies when they're around me. I feel like I'm calm with them and that's a nice thing. But there was a moment when my cousin presented me with his youngest, and my cousin was my hero growing up. You know, I can't respect him more as a person. And I had his pride and joy in my hands and just a little cuddle. And then there was this moment where the baby became liquid.
Oh, God.
And I was fairly certain I had a grip, like we were all good. What's happening here? And then it was like a TV remote going down the sofa. And Ben was looking over at me just like, how could you mess this up so much? I was devastated on so many levels.
Oh no.
Yeah, he had to save me. Yeah.
Oh no, don't worry. I don't know. I think I'm not really a massive overthinker. So I just kind of, I'm like, you'll get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, if something really bad happens, then you can just ring us and then we'll work it out.
It's practice, isn't it? Sets and reps.
Exactly, it's practice.
Yeah.
And also like, when we became parents, we didn't have a clue what we were doing. So we're just learning maybe a week ahead of you.
From a perspective of feeding the troops,
Yes.
What do you think people get wrong about eating well and eating well as a family?
So for me, the freezer is literally your best friend. So I batch cook like sauces and stuff for Rudy, and which have got like, they're like a tomato sauce for pasta, but they've got like 6 different veg in it, and I blitz it up. And then if we're having a day where I'm like, oh God, we haven't got anything in, you just take it out, cook some pasta, done. And that for me is just the kind of the way to make your life a bit more simple, is a bit of batch and freeze.
Nice.
Yeah.
And from that perspective of, you said there are 6 vegetables in it, does the vegetable bill add up? I know that you grow your own stuff.
Yeah.
And a common, not complaint, but maybe blocker that people describe to me is how expensive things are. You know, I'm not going to deny a cost of living crisis. I'm not going to deny that things get more expensive. I live singly, basically, and have done for, 2-3 years. And, you know, even when I was traveling, but my grocery budget has gone up and up and up.
Yeah.
And I know that if you're trying to eat out because you struggle to cook, that's obviously going to be even more expensive. I got back to Sheffield and my groceries had gone from £50 a week to about £70 a week.
Yeah, it's wild.
And I wasn't getting much more food for it. I couldn't tell you where it had gone. You know, chicken had gone up, yogurts had gone up, dark chocolate, which is my little treat, that's like double the price now. So when it comes to maybe talking to parents who see the price of things, but maybe don't see the value of them, what could we do there, do you think?
I always think some things go a longer way than you expect. So, for instance, like if you had 1 courgette, 1 carrot, 1 pepper and 1 onion and a can of tomatoes, you're probably looking at now more like £3 really. But you can probably make like 8 portions of sauce. So then if you think about how much a food pouch is, they're about £1.50.
Yeah. So
I don't know, I always think like what's the kind of alternative? Do you know what I mean? But it is hard. I think if you can cook in batch, then you use the whole ingredient and that's better. I also think we're trying to do a thing where, especially on Mondays, when Rudy's not at nursery, we all eat at the same time and we all have the same meal. And I mean, the only thing is that because it's our job, often we have a lot of leftovers coming from the business. So that does help, obviously, the food cost side of things. But I think learning to cook is the step, because if you know that you can take essentially like a pack of lentils and some dry spices and ginger and garlic and make a dal which will make, 15 portions of food for your kid, then that is a way cheaper alternative than buying even a kind of yogurt pot squeezy. So I feel like the basis is actually having a bit of confidence cooking, but obviously that's something which is learned.
That's a nice segue though into what comes next, the sequel to Sundays.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so my second cookbook is coming out, my second cookbook in my own name is coming out next April, and it's called I'll Cook, which is about having people over. And the whole idea is it's an alternative to a hosting book, essentially. So I feel like people have people over a lot more regularly than just having a big dinner party. And obviously that's a really lovely occasion. So some of the recipes in the book will adhere to that. But some of the chapters are 1-pan bangers, so where you can't be asked to do the washing up. Speedy catch-ups, where the chat's more important than the cooking. Winter warmers, summer lovers, so kind of all very occasion specified. But every recipe has a kind of get ahead section. So I think people really want to know if they can freeze this or if they can make that in advance. And also, what I always think is that if you're having people over, you've probably got a bit of leftovers for yourself afterwards. So in that case, I kind of say mix this with that and make it into a banging pasta sauce for your solo win.
Each episode of F&T takes about 10 hours to put together from start to finish. So if you could give me a second, maybe 2 seconds of your time to drop a like, subscribe, follow, and maybe even 5 seconds to leave a nice comment or a 5-star review, that would be incredible.
I'd described it yesterday as come round, I'll cook, as a way to naturally put it into conversation.
Yeah, that's great.
I really like the way that you incorporate the leftovers. So
Yeah.
if you've made this, then you could make. When it comes to cooking for myself, I think I'm guilty of not impressing myself sometimes, of not going out and get the ingredients that I'll only use once. And sometimes it comes from a place of, I've only got £70-80 to spend a week, and if I just get these one-shot ingredients, it's wasted. I like the way that you recycle stuff.
Yeah.
And it is about getting as much from what you make as you possibly can. A great way to encourage people to cook, but then also to learn how you can make more of what you buy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I always think that's kind of, when we're at home, that's kind of how the meals come. It's okay, we've got a little bit of cream.
Yeah.
So let's make this. Do you know what I mean? Rather than going out and buying new stuff. I'd actually always get so infuriated because he'll be like, oh, so should we get a takeaway? And I'll be like, yeah. And I'll look in the fridge and I'll be like, we do have half a head of broccoli and we do have... And he's like, oh, yeah, we're not having a takeaway, are we? Like, honestly, we could just have a really nice pasta and take 15 minutes. So I think sometimes maybe I need to relax on that kind of.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, yeah, you just want jerk chicken. I get it.
Fair.
Yeah, you don't want a broccoli chickpea concoction that your wife's made out of half a bit of cream.
Oh, but the thought of it, the sentiment.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were trying to impress Ad, what would you make him?
If I was trying to really impress him, I'd probably make him either a lemon tart or some kind of, that he loves lemon tart, or just, do you know what, I'd just make him a really, really banging cup of tea, because my teas are so bad and have so little love that if I actually take him a really nice cup of tea, he's kind of overwhelmed.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like, because I'm like, yeah, I'll make the teas, and then I like leave the bag in, I'll get distracted, I'll do something, then it's like either lukewarm or like and overly brewed.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's just nice when we decide that to cook for each other where you don't have, the other person hasn't had any input, so they don't know what they're having, and there's something quite relaxing about that. And you come in and it's like, oh, you've made this pasta or whatever. It's not usually super elaborate. It's just something which you're like, you've had a long day, don't worry about it.
Nice. What do you hate to cook for other people though, that they might like?
So I was thinking about this, and I basically love cooking risotto. It's like one of my favourite things to cook, but arancini is a canapé that everyone absolutely loves, and it's such a time-consuming process, which it always goes down amazingly, but I think I've probably made maybe over 5,000 arancini in my life. So when you are there doing another batch of risotto to cool, to ball, to fill, to pane, to fry, you're just like, oh, I know everyone's going to be so grateful for this, but oh.
What would you swap it with? What could people do better with in terms of their palate or?
No, I mean, people love it for a reason. It's absolutely banging. And the thing is, it's like, you may have done an arancini at 7 weddings, but they're different people's weddings, aren't they? So, and we vary the flavours so that, I've always find that with the menus for the weddings, we do it because the couples, it's nice for the menus to be bespoke, but also I do it because the chefs in the kitchen also want to cook things which are different, and it's much more exciting to come into a kitchen where you've got a new menu rather than making the same thing over and again. But I would say that people just love an arancini.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah, they are delicious.
Yeah, when you get it right, that crisp crunch, when you feel the breadcrumb, maybe a little bit of char, and then you go through to the rice, and if it has been stuffed or filled in a way, and you've got
cheese,
Yeah, I love an arancini.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a salty, delicious morsel.
So, yeah, it's lunchtime soon. We're hungry. Yeah. With arancini is a good example though. You have a set recipe. You have a framework for a thing that people like. And when you describe your recipes for weddings or your menus, they may be based on a template in a way, but you allow for the creative input of the people working on them, the individuals who apply themselves to the framework. And I think you can take that broader than the kitchen. Obviously, you could say that about writing creative essays or gym workouts. It's this idea that you have an amount of time, you have a duration, you have something that envelops the thing. So it's a wedding, it's an essay, it's a gym session. And the way that you have been able to cook and chef and bake and do what you have to such a level for such a long time, to me feels like it's because it's varied within the structure, if that makes sense. It's not the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
Because if it were, you'd be bored of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think for people who maybe struggle to stick with workout plans or think that batch cooking meals is boring, they kind of set themselves up to fail because they don't see the variability, the variance that you can put into the framework. Like you say, if you cook a sauce, you make 8 portions of a sauce, you could change the carbs underneath it.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Or you could add different herbs on top. You've got a rosemary bush outside, for instance. So if there are things knocking around in the garden, you could completely change the experience of that sauce by adding to it at a later point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I also think it's almost like I love there's a bit of structure, but then I absolutely hate the idea of having the same routine. So for me, it's the best of both worlds. Like for instance, I would never wake up and have the same drink at the same time every day or the same breakfast because I'd feel quite trapped. But then I know that there's 4 things I can go to which all work and are easy. That's a different ball game. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of feel like it's an approach which allows, I think flexibility within a framework is just kind of a nice thing. And you're right about kind of when the chefs come in and stuff. Sometimes I'm like, salsa verde, and I put Dijon, capers, parsley, red wine vinegar, make banging. So I'm like, you try it, do it how you'll do it. Like you don't need a recipe for that. You're a chef and you've come in to cook, so just make it delicious.
What do you think people can do about the anxiety or the lack of confidence when it comes to cooking? So people who are new to the gym are potentially anxious about people watching them, people judging them. When it comes to cooking, I wonder sometimes if people are anxious about not getting it right, spoiling it not being perfect. You and I know that that's part of it. The process is the enjoyment ultimately, and each dish might be a marker, a milestone on the journey of being a cook. But is there a way to get over the anxiety that maybe you've helped people with?
There's no such thing as perfection with cooking, and it's also so much about your own personal taste. Like, you might really like spice, so you might add more chili to something. Like, I think when you first start cooking, choose a simple recipe and don't overcomplicate it, but also feel free to change it up depending on what you like. Like, if you really love, as I say, chili, and the tomato sauce doesn't have it in, I think sometimes it's so empowering to add that and then realise that you've made a tweak which is actually for you more delicious, because then you're like, oh, okay, right, what can I do next? Like, it's just, ultimately, it does depend on your personality. You might be someone who needs to follow a recipe in its entirety, which, I mean, it doesn't really work there. But if you can just kind of feel like, actually, at the end of the day, it is just a meal. And I mean, that's a very privileged position to be in. So it's kind of, I guess, I know you don't want to mess up those ingredients, but as long as you know you're going to eat it at the end of it, even if you have kind of gone a bit rogue and added it in peanut butter, as long as you promise yourself that it's gonna be consumed, then why not? You know?
Nice. And as a tastemaker, we're talking about tiramisu as the new wedding cake.
Yeah.
Salted caramel has had this massive boom, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Sourdough before that seemed to be all of the rage. What do you think the next trend is?
Oh, the trend that I absolutely cannot stand at the moment, which is going to be so bad for me to say,
Go on.
is the protein trend.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm like, but I mean, it's fine. I get it. Like, people want to get their protein.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, come on, like.
What's your frustration with it?
I think sometimes there's things which are just marketed as high protein, which is just not necessary. I also think that, like, for me, flavour is everything. So like, I'd rather have like one less egg in that sauce and it be much more silky. And also because, I don't know, like, yeah, I love protein, fine, but also I'm just a carbs girl any day, man. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it's just very protein. And it's just not my vibe.
After my master's, I did some digital marketing for one of the biggest sports supplement companies in the UK. And I learned a lot about supplements at the time, and obviously we got discounts on them. So I tried them all, I wasn't used to them before that point, and then by the end of it, I could make an informed decision on whether I needed them or not. And then when I did my kind of most successful lean boy athletic photo shoot look, I got to it without using protein powders. I got to it through eating fish and pizza and having yogurt every day. And my digestion, as much as anything else, was so much better for it, So I know that you can eat 3 to 4 good meals a day without thinking necessarily it has to be protein rich. White fish doesn't have loads of protein in it, but white fish with a hot sauce, potatoes and veg is a really simple, wholesome meal.
Yeah.
And, sure, I could have had 2 fish fillets if I wanted it. And I could have swapped the basa for tapioca, or I could have gone for, I think I've just butchered the name. It's not tapioca, that's a completely different thing. There's a fish that's...
Oh yeah, there's a fish, like a more meaty fish, you're saying?
Yeah, but there's a white fish that bodybuilders are... Obsessed with.
Oh,
I don't think it's called that. But the point being
Tilapia?
Tilapia, that's the one.
Okay, yeah.
Tapioca is like a rice pudding.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking, sounds delicious.
It
nice
sounds
batter.
all right. Yeah, no wonder I wasn't losing the weight. It's just carbs, not protein. So it's that thing for me that I could have optimized the dish.
Yeah.
But actually by eating things that I could eat over and over again that did have flavor, that was all right. That's all I needed. But this go around, you know, I brought maybe a scoop of protein in because I'm trying to explore more with my dishes, and like you, not force protein into something that doesn't need it.
Yeah.
You know, not all tomato sauces need to be protein rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think I'm a bit of like an anomaly because I don't have a fitness watch, and if I go for a run, I just go and then I come back. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think for me personally, that's not how I view fitness and health. It's more of a kind of, okay, yeah, my skin feels dry and I'm dehydrated, so I need to drink more water. It's like, I don't know, I think it's a bit less like, oh, I feel tired, I probably didn't sleep very well last night, rather than being like, I had my however many hours, you know?
Yeah.
But I understand how it works so well for so many people, and I'd say the majority of my friends and everyone I know use those things to really help them kind of optimize their health and their wellness. But I would say I kind of like just not knowing the knowledge and just going to a gym class because it made me feel strong and I enjoyed it. But then I suppose if I was doing a really goal orientated fitness, then it would be very different, because if I was kind of working towards, I don't know, running a marathon or building a certain amount of muscle, that would be different. Whereas I kind of see fitness as more of a thing for my brain and my own time within a busy life. So that's not kind of the aim for me.
No, it feels that your fitness is essential and holistic. Yeah, and it's intuitive. I wonder if your intuition comes from years of practice though. And that's not me saying you're old, we're the same age. It's that it's easy to, for instance, if you did have a body goal, to intuit how much a portion is.
Yes, yeah.
Because you've weighed out a portion 100, 200, 300 times before. Yeah, and you will know that when you're putting, say, a salsa verde together, that the proportions of ingredients will feel right.
Yeah.
But that might have come from years of practice and study kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so for people who wear fitness trackers, as you say, a lot of people benefit from it. But you know when you don't have enough sleep.
Yeah.
And if I had a device telling me that my sleep was suboptimal, when I feel groggy, it's going to get to a point for me where I'm just going to be frustrated with it and probably stop following it. And then I put money into a thing that I'm not going to use to tell me the thing I already know.
Yeah, and also we've got a toddler and about to have another child. Our sleep's not going to be good for many years. I don't need a watch telling me that.
No. So I'm with you on that. And I think we're privileged because we know what it's like on the ground.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't envy you that lack of sleep.
Yeah, but no, it's all good. It's worth it.
All right, Soph, I think we are bringing it into land.
Yeah.
You've got projects that we mentioned at the start. Do you want to direct people to different things that they could follow up on?
Yes, so if you want to have some banging rotisserie chicken, then we're opening in Spitalfields Market at the end of October, and we're called Twirly Bird. We're right in the centre of the market, so come and check us out.
Amazing.
And my book, I'll Cook, is out in April and will be available from all good bookstores, online, etc.
Easy. And social media, would you want to send people there?
Social media, Scramble London, LDN, so Scramble LDN, and then sophonaplate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the time.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you for
Cheers,
having me.
Cheers for watching Fitness and Thinking. If you like that episode, you'll probably like this one.